They are going for the Hanzo defense with the Baptiste. We haven't seen any success from this composition so far today, but it is one that works. Rest assured, it's just not had the greatest showing so far. Can Ground Zero make it work? If they take this map, they're one step closer. Playing at MEO, and there's something that all these players would have loved to do.
Yep.
At the start of the season, they probably wouldn't have thought or dreamed of it. They were a team that was ravaged by the roster shuffle. They ended up coming out on top. Nobody thought they would. It was a roster that people didn't give much of a chance. They managed to band together and make it work quite well.
Now look where they are. Where Order is as well. Trying to work their way toward point A. Jordation cocks a sleep dart. Good wall
Hook
from
connects,
Yuki.
but it's just the wall comes up and that breaks the hook. Now, it's going to be difficult to get in with this suck hook and the Mei wall. It's very difficult to break these chokes. They need fast rotations. They need to bait some of them out.
There's the hold hook combo again. Yuki blocking it effectively this time once more, but it doesn't matter. A headshot from Nami. Also a headshot from Signed as Nami gets a bit of a taste of his own medicine.
Hunter's hooked. He's managed to survive though. The nice Mei wall from Yuki.
5v5. Order looking to push their way forward. Signed will be a big catalyst of that, especially if no one turns around to face him. Doesn't have his Wraith, but no one's even paying attention to him at all, and that gives him a lot of damage, and the rest of the team as well. Doing a good job from the front side, but look at that. One full ultimate built from Signed in one fight.
That was very aggressive from Signed. As soon as the attention was brought and the CDs or the cooldowns were used on the side of Ground Zero, he hits that TP button, goes in very deep. He manages to find Nami, and that's the key pick. Removing Nami means the pick-off potential on the side of Ground Zero goes very low. Signed now with the Death Blossom. Nami has a really good position on this point though. He has the damage boost coming from the amplification matrix from the Baptiste if he wants it. It can be very deadly. Those Storm Arrows through that amplification matrix, they do so much damage. Balsu dropping low, has forced to nade himself, already Signed. Going in on the top. If they don't pay attention to him, he could get something big here.
What a nice wall, cutting off all of the heals that Jordation was trying to put into Quats.
Coalescence.
Yeah, a bit of an overinvestment there from Jordation. I don't think he'll be too pleased with how that's turned out, unless he can get one of those picks, but just not quite able to. Still, it is one of the faster charging ultimates in the game, so
I think Order are going to be disappointed there. They had a great opportunity for Sign to come in off the top and get big value, but now they've been reset. And when you reset in this position, it's very difficult. Mei walls come out, and now the ultimate comes out from the side of the Hanzo.
Adam's totally caught in that. Nami gets Yuki with the Storm Arrows, but it was the Dragon Strike that demeched Adam.
And the beat drop was late too from Unter. These ults that they're investing are getting no value on the side of Order. The Bongo, the beat drop, they got nothing.
Unfortunate to see, but there is still a fair bit to play with for Order, so not the end of the world. Not just yet. 4 minutes on the clock. Hunter's looking to go aggressive.
Charging this Orisa and Sign's TP to the high ground. He needs some support up here though. If he can remain in this position, it will give him great opportunity.
Blizzard goes down right on top of Mini, but Fortify will allow him to get out of there alive. Not the same though for Nanda, who does end up getting caught by that, frozen in the ice.
Sign's unleashed here.
Mini trying to do his devastating dodge maneuvers, but it doesn't really matter too much.
The nano boost came out onto the Mei there to try keep her alive, but she entered the ice box straight away, so a bit of miscommunication, wasting the ultimate from Dalsu there. Could want that for Nami. This fight would have been nice to have as he swaps over to the Moira though. This next fight, if Order can win it cleanly, they'll go into third phase with a lot of time remaining. It's just Gus's Diva Bomb to come up. Adam has his own. We saw a lot of Divas throwing at the bomb at the start of the fight in the last series. It didn't work out too well, so how are they going to use it this time? Bomb comes out from Adam straight away. It catches Gunther.
Catches Gunther, and look at where Signed is right now. He's going to get behind everyone right as the self-destruct gets thrown. Oh, that's a perfect Death Blossom from Signed. Could not have asked for a better ult there. And as you say, if they get through with this fight, there's going to be a lot of time for Order to play with into Phase C.
And they're going to get the stagger kills too. They're going to get Gunther and maybe the Moira. Sign's chasing him, but it's a difficult kill to hit.
Yeah.
He does get it in the end, and that means Quats has his ultimate coming in through now, which means that he can use that ultimate to amplify the damage and build more ultimates for his team. This is a very good setup from Order.
Push that card Order, they'd be feeling like, oh god, I wish this cart moved faster. We could have really set up so forward, almost under the gate, but the cart just wasn't quite there yet. Still a lot of free push there for Order to start off phase.
Sign's been caught instantly.
C. Yes, indeed. Nanda also has been caught. Back to a 5v5, Mini getting low. And the Supercharger is still there for Order, so this is potentially enough. He actually froze the Diva there, and then threw out the Blizzard. Great work from Yuki, and you can see how much of an impact that is going to have. Coalescence, the attempt from Dalsu to keep his team alive, but it's just nowhere near enough damage.
Losing the Mei there is so bad for the side of Ground Zero because that hero controls the tempos of the fight. You control where things get played out, and if Nanda goes down quickly, yeah, losing Sign's bad, but losing the Mei even worse as Yuki's got Gus caught on the cap and they're not going to get there. They just get there in time.
0.01. It could not have been closer for Ground Zero, but still, it might be the end for them as Quat starts the fight off well. The Death Blossom achieves absolutely nothing. And Order is sweeping Ground Zero aside, much similar to what we saw from Ground Zero versus Order on Temple of Anubis. Now the tables have turned.
It's so back and forth between these teams. We see one good map from one and the next they answer back instantly. 2 minutes 38 is a lot of time to go up against on Hollywood. Ground Zero are going to need to keep their cool and realize that it's not all over. It's only half time in this map. They need to come back and get a good attack themselves. Can't wait to see what they come up with. How are Order going to defend? Are they going to use the Baptiste? Are they going to use the Reaper? Signed, showing up on Reaper now. He's using his patience and he's finding these opportunities for the big Death Blossoms. He's not just throwing it in instantly. He's using his big brain. You love to see, if you're a Reaper main, you love to see those big Death Blossoms come out. As soon as that Diva throws that Diva Bomb out, he's on it like a terrier on a tennis ball, one would say.
Yeah, one would say that. I don't know who. Someone that's maybe a Tim Tam short of a packet.
Yeah, a few snags short of a Barbie, that bloke. Seems that they will go for the signed Hanzo in the Hunter Baptiste. This is a hero that Hunter's been playing a lot of in the ranked matchmaking system. I think Nami will be scouting on this Sombra. I don't think he'll stay on it for too long. Might choose a Hanzo of his own once he sees what he's going up against.
He having a bit of a better performance on the Mei in this particular map, though.
Certainly has that. Anubis performance, he'd really go back and look at that and think, wow, what was I doing?
Yep.
But now on Hollywood, he's had some great walls, he's found some great freezes, and those Mei ultimates have been getting big value. That's what you need from your Mei players. You need this ultimate to really change the tide of the fights. You need to be able to reliably win a fight off your Mei ultimate.
Us on to Roadhog means no Diva on the side of Ground Zero. So Sign is going to have a bit of an easier time of getting some sneaky arrows in. Army spotted. We'll swap back off onto the Hanzo.
Gus thinking about swapping. He's dancing back and forth. He doesn't know what he wants to do. I think he will stay on the Roadhog for a first push or two at least.
Yeah, I mean, there's no Ana for Order, so it's not hugely necessary to have that Diva.
Jordation definitely preferring the Zenyatta as Nanda gets caught by that hold, but doesn't go down. Seems to be okie dokie.
Did jump into the ice block there for a moment.
Jordation on his comfort hero, the Zenyatta. Usually people do play the Ana here instead, but it's just more of a comfortable hero for Jordation. He's been so good on his Zenyatta, such a fragger on it. So they really respect that, and they think that this is better for us as a team.
Sometimes it can be better to play around your strength.
Nanda's in the back though.
It's a decent wall and a very nice hook. Adam's going to be demeched instantly. The immortality field went through from Unther as well, so some big cooldowns lost. And now a big player lost as well, as Adam will fall to the headshot of Dalsu. Ground Zero working their way onto the point here, looking for some real damage.
He's got Mei though.
What's the one that's doing it? Jordation as well, catching Nami, and Sign, he hasn't really had to do a whole lot. He's been dancing around in the market, but it's everyone else on Order that's putting in the work.
That was set up beautifully by Nanda, but getting in the backline, having a nice little flank, and Order didn't know anything about that. They go to contest him with the tanks. Adam gets frozen into a hook, loses his mech, and it was all on Ground Zero there, but unfortunately Dalsu pushed up a little bit too far on the point, didn't respect the Order army's fight. He got picked off early, and that really set them back a big distance. Now, Mayo down, but Hunter's got his amplification matrix. He drops it himself. That's a lot of damage going through. They are split on the side of Ground Zero. How are they going to get in through this choke now?
That is not going to be fun at all.
Jordation has the Transcendence to answer for this Mayo.
Just run across. Back strike here from Sign. That is going to split Ground Zero apart, although they decide to just tank it with the Transcendence from Dalsu, but that means they don't have Transcendence late into this fight, where Order does. Just as Jordation gets hooked, he pops Transcendence to keep himself alive. A master stroke from him. And I think the rest of Order should be able to follow back up on that. A double kill out of the self-destruct on Adam's behalf. And another really solid hold here on point A of Hollywood. This is starting to look worrisome for Ground Zero.
That was very dangerous though from Jordation. He invested his Transcendence. Now Nanda has the freeze from the Blizzard ult, the Mei ultimate, the Blizzard. And Nami has the Dragon Strike, so they have got nothing to answer it on the side of the Order army. Adam's going to have to be very clean with his Diva Matrix here. He's going to have to be on the money. He's going to have to eat at least one of those ults, you'd say, if they're going to win this fight.
Generally, he is pretty reliable in that department. The Dragon Strike, that is going to go through, that's for sure. But Blizzard, as of yet, uninvested by Nanda. Adam will be aware of that and waiting for it hungrily. The longer this fight goes, the more opportunities Order has to build their own ults. Yuki now has Blizzard. Hunter has got Amplification Matrix, so there's some tools to work with. And soon Dragon Strike available as well.
He's
eaten it! And then the Blizzard comes down from Yuki as well. It could not have gone better for Order. Sure, they've lost a couple of players, but from a position like this, they need to turn the fight around, actually. Ground Zero. And it's really off the back of Nami finding those two picks. It was Jordation and then Yuki that went down.
Adam, the heroic play, he does what he needs to do, but Nami got in the backline, and while Adam's paying attention to the Mei, he can't pay attention to the Hanzo. Nami ends up running right and getting a few picks there, and that's what turns the fight for the side of Ground Zero. And now, they're on the card, they have the drum, they have the Amplification Matrix, they can deal a lot of damage in this next fight, catch Order unawares. What can Order do to stabilize this? They need to reset the fight here. Getting this defensive position is so important.
Already the mech down about half HP. At least the bongos have been dealt with pretty quickly. And Quats catches Mini as the Amplification Matrix again comes up from Unta and allows that extreme damage.
It's so much damage. With the Hanzo, the Zenyatta, and the Orisa shooting through that, that's so much damage. It's incredible amounts of damage, but that's the trade-off for using the Baptiste. Now you don't have that defensive ultimate, and you're completely reliant on that lamp ability. Jordation has the Transcendence now to counter anything that's thrown at them, but it won't counter a Diva Bomb from Gus.
Dragon Strike here for Sign. You can tell he's sort of setting himself up for it. Again, looking to split Ground Zero in half. It will force the Transcendence out from Dalsu.
The Panic Trance from Jordation could come back to bite them now, as Nami has his ultimate ready to go, and Nanda's closing in as well.
Well, it's Adam's time to shine with the self-destruct, but this time it will be a little lackluster. In fact, that fight in general was pretty lackluster from Order. Ground Zero walked all over them, but with the minutes Tony on the clock for Ground Zero, Order are certainly going to have another defense here.
But it's going to be a hard one. They're going to have to try and get through these tiny little choke points into a Mei and a Hanzo ultimate, and they have no Transcendence to answer. Jordation's been using that to save himself instead of the team. How will it come back to bite them? They've been Mei walled out. Who's going to be touching the card? It looks like it will be Diva, will be Adam.
Hunter might have overcommitted a little bit here. Does seem to be the focus of Fire for the moment, but he's surviving. Adam has been demeched as I speak, and finally Hunter does go down. This will be another pretty clean fight win for Ground Zero. They just had themselves in all sorts of weird positions. Weird, wacky, and not wonderful at all. At least if you're an Order fan.
There's going to be some stalled players here too, maybe. Who got the forward spawns? Doesn't look like anybody, or maybe they all did. It's hard to tell through the walls, but Order now, they're going to have to try and find a big defense here. They are ahead on the clock, but they need to eke it out to overtime at the very minimum.
Well, taking the high ground control for Order, blocked just for the moment by the Mei wall.
Oh, Nami's already taken down
Nicely
Jordy.
done. Very solid shot from Nami, and Signed try and get in the back line with the Reaper.
Yuki's freeze is massive.
The bongos, Quartz getting involved as well. And that is indeed a huge freeze, making life so easy for Sign.
Built so much Reaper roll in that fight. Sign, he gets to 92 off pretty much one fight.
Yep.
And it all came down to a Holt combination play. Yuki and Quartz playing together very well at the moment. And that's kind of the key. You can enable your Mei player really well if you time those Holts with your amp from Lucio, the speed amp, to get your Mei right in the middle of there. Get really nice positioning. That's one of the keys.
Well, Coalescence from Jordation. He's just trying to find an angle. Will actually force the Ice Block from Nanda and the Transcendence from Dalsu. Order very quickly, disengaging the fight. Smart move as they essentially waste the Transcendence of Dalsu. And now they can re-engage with some counter-engages of their own. Just a little bit over-eager there from Sign. If there was a defense matrix behind him, he would have absolutely ruined Ground Zero, but he's gone on his own, and now Ground Zero turn things around.
They certainly do, and they've got ultimates to spare to come into this next fight. Order resetting on the card. They will get another contest off, but they haven't got much to play with. They invested 2 big ultimates into that fight. The Sound Barrier and the Death Blossom. As you said, I don't think they were ready for Sign to go in that aggressive.
Yeah.
Maybe the aggression is going to bite them back. 20 seconds to take down.
Mentioned not much for Order to play with. I'll counter that by saying that in this fight, they're going to have 4 ultimates if it lasts for 5 or 10 seconds. Adam to start it off with self-destruct. We're waiting for the bongos to go down. Nanda drops early, but it's even bigger from ground zero. They might just be able to do this. They needed a quick, cleaner fight, and that's exactly what they got.
There's time on the clock too. Ground Zero are going to have an opportunity here to win the map. It's not going to be a draw maximum for them, so they're alive in the map, and that's all you need. All you need is that 5 seconds. Anything can go in these overtime fights. They get boosted up to a minute. A minute versus 3 minutes 30. This means that they have to be very clean on their first attack. They weren't on the first round of attacking. They're going to need to sharpen up a little bit.
Well, from the position that they were in on point A, you'd probably be pretty happy to finish the map off, even with some time available, to even give yourself a slim chance of a win, because it didn't look like Ground Zero were going to get that opportunity, but they do have it. What a great, crazy fight in Phase C. All of the fights in Phase C were really crazy. I mean, Side, I think, will be kicking himself a little bit there, or maybe it's Adam that's kicking himself, you know? One of the two.
It's just a little bit of miscommunication.
Either Siren overextends, or Adam didn't follow up as well as he needed to.
It was very risky making that play into the lamp as well. He knew that that was a cooldown that was available. It hadn't been shown or used yet, so making that bold play on the Reaper comes back to bite him. I don't think he could have made that play. I don't think it's the smartest play to make at that time. They had all the investment. They used the Sound Barrier. They could have pressured the mech, pressured the lamp out, and then gone. But
it almost worked. He just needed it like another half second of Death Blossom, and there was 2 or 3 players dead. Still, that's the way the cookie crumbles.
An aggressive setup here from Order, just trying to poke out as much ultimate as they can. They know that Jordation Transcendence is going to be pivotal in countering out these fast-building ultimates from the side of Ground Zero with this composition. Watch for Signed and Nami, though. They can put this push to an end or really open it up with those Hanzo picks. 2 very sharp players, very talented young players. They'll be watching for that little flank from Nanda too now. They know that he's shown that it's available. The wall comes up, isolating the Orisa, but they're not being able to capitalize on it at all.
Sign does get forced off of his perch on the high ground, but jumps straight back on up.
And
What a shot! Dalsu down. Now Sign might be the trade, does get some backup. Well done from Jordation, keeping his carry alive and Order. I think that might be the end of what is not necessarily needing to be a very stoic defense. Just the one fight for Ground Zero. Gus is being staggered. Wrecking Ball starting to come through here for Ground Zero, and have to
Nanda
imagine
gets headshot. He didn't get the opportunity to put the ice block off, and they're sucked away, and now the stagger's coming through. Will it be enough to get any sort of contest for Ground Zero?
No.
It looks over.
Yeah, I don't think you need to sell this one anymore, Smash. That one is well and truly done. Good defense from Order. It didn't need to be great, it just needed to be one good fight, and that's what they got. As you mentioned, was the case in their regulation attack time as well. But with 3 minutes 35 on the clock here, this is definitely Order's map to lose.
Yeah, Sign looks like he's shooting logs at the moment. He can't seem to miss. Dalsu just being out of position a little bit. Yeah, he is going back to beta. Dalsu out of position a little bit. We saw that on the first attack too. On this first point, he's pushing up a little bit too far, not respecting the sight lines that can open up on this Hollywood point. If you're able to rotate around on those DPS heroes, you can find nice angles, and gets picked off twice, and that really sets Ground Zero back now. The best they can hope for is a draw, but the way the Order have been playing might be hard-pressed for that. What a series we have. They're going for the Death Ball composition on Order. They are throwing away the Hanzo and playing that faster-paced Death Ball. We saw Signed doing a very aggressive TP here in the first point, take Nami out almost instantly. Nami now playing the Reaper himself, so there's not going to be that opportunity, but look for an aggressive TP from Signed, and then the boys from Order just spew on in and back him up. What a series we have here, though. This is the one that's delivered. The previous one didn't really deliver. It was a great series to watch, but it wasn't as close as we thought it was going to be. But this one's definitely been a nail-biter, as both teams are showing what they are made of and why they deserve to be at MEO.
Well, when it comes to the semi-finals in AU Contenders, we typically have a fairly one-sided semi-final and a pretty close semi-final. And I suppose that trend is continuing today, even though it is online.
Certainly is. And that sometimes benefits the younger players. The nerves aren't there yet as the Orisa gets caught off, but he's managed to escape. He's going very aggressive, Mini.
Mini's just all
He's
over
lost.
the place. I don't know what he's looking at. I don't think he knows what
And
he's looking at
Nanda's lost
either.
too.
That is unbelievable. Order is saying thank you very much. Those walls were just... I don't even know what to say. I mean, what can you say about a fight like this one? Ground Zero have just been cleaned up. Order have won the map, and they're up 2-1 now. Hollywood is Order's one map away from Melbourne Esports Open now for the team that has been at season finals time and time again. They don't want to be missing out like Sydney Drop Bears did.
No, they definitely don't want to be missing out, and that's just proven by that overtime. You know, they got signed into a good position on the defense. He took advantage of it, got the kill, and that kind of set the tone for that defense. And then on the offense, you saw that as soon as they isolated Mini, they all flooded into him. Mini, he ran the wrong way.
He was running forwards, backwards, all over the place.
He didn't know what he was doing, but they managed to capitalize on it. You still have to get that kill and capitalize, and they did on the side of Order. Yuki played much better on the Mei, and I think that's the thing to take out of this map, is that on the first map he played Mei on a lot. Wasn't looking too hot, but then now he's looking a lot better, and that's a really good sign for Order, because he's one of the players that needs to shine, otherwise it's going to be a rough series.
Yeah, just needed that 5-minute break in the half time to figure things out. I like that, by the way, from Mini. I don't know if Kat caught that. Yeah, just going crazy, trying to dodge something. I don't know, it wasn't really going to help too much. But yeah, it's been a solid day so far from Order. But, you know, again, I sort of were talking about it last week during our quarterfinals, and I was saying, have we seen any team right now that you think they are going to win the season based on the performances in quarter and semi-finals? I'm not getting that sense necessarily from Order, and I'm still a little bit hesitant to say it even about Mindfreak, because okay, performing online is definitely one thing, but for those players to come into Melbourne Esports Open and put up the same kind of a performance is going to be a lot more difficult in my mind. So at the moment, the jury's still out for me, you know, and I think that's the best thing about this season is we've never really had any preconceived notions of this team is going to win the season like we have in the past with the likes of Sydney Drop Bears and even to an extent last season with Order.
Yeah, certainly. I think it's definitely been a more even season. I think that Order have looked very poor at the start of the season, and they've shown patches of poor play throughout the season. Even the last week of regular season versus Mavs, they didn't look convincing at all. In the semi-finals and the quarterfinals, they're looking a bit more convincing, but I think Ground Zero are no mugs, and this is a result that you need to take with stock into account. I think that Ground Zero played very well, and that's really testing Order. I think that Order are probably the championship team at the moment. I know that Mindfreak might struggle on land just because they're all so inexperienced and they haven't played in front of that big crowd. It's a very different atmosphere to playing at home, and communication's very important. I don't know what their communication on land will be like.
There's always many questions that we get to answer when we get to Melbourne Esports Open. That's why it's such a fun event. I mean, even for the players, you know, such a big step up. For us, it's a big step up going from the studio to being able to cast in the arena. It's going to be super, super exciting. I mean, I'm looking forward to being able to have a chat with the players as well, because we haven't been able to do that in a while. I didn't get to do it at IEM Sydney. I was busy elsewhere. But, you know, to be able to talk to the players, see what they feel like, see how they feel going into the final at Melbourne Esports Open is going to be something that we always like to do. But moving on to Havana, and this might be the last map of the series if Order do end up winning it. Havana, again, not a bad choice, I don't think, from Ground Zero. It's been a map that they've had success with this season.
It's a map that they can play this Pharah on as well. On the first defense, we saw Order struggle with that in their game. I believe it was against the Warriors. They couldn't get out of spawn for 2 or 3 minutes because Roro just sat on top of that spawn room and was raining hell above. So I think that it's a good scout from the side of Ground Zero, and it's a good idea to play it, but maybe Order have figured something out versus that. I don't expect them to get stuck 2 times in a row. And you know what I'm excited about at MEO, Jordan?
What's that?
I'm excited to see me old mates. I think Huss and CKM will be in the crowd cheering on, and there's a lot of community that comes together for these big events, and it's great to see, to be honest. People travel from all over the place to get there.
Exactly. It's the one event where you tend to see almost all the Overwatch community come together.
Fantastic. And we do see Nanda on the Widowmaker at the moment. He is on the attack, so...
Yeah, it's probably just for the peek out of the spawn doors. One thing I do want to touch on before we get underway here with Havana is that this particular map type, Escort, is the weakest map type for Order. Only a 30% win rate, roughly.
That's actually pretty poor when you consider Order. You would expect them to be winning a majority of their games on all modes, so this could be an opening back into the series for Ground Zero. They are running with the Hanzo, though. Cyan very strong on that hero. Nami will in return play it. But the difference is the mini Reinhardt instead of the Orisa. Surely he won't stay on this. No, he doesn't. Gus on the Roadhog, Adam on the Diva. That's the difference. And how will that impact this game? I'd say I favor the composition with the Diva a lot more. I think there's just more combination, there's more counterplay with the Diva. Roadhog, it's so easy to shut down if you're a coordinator player, and we saw Yuki shut down those hooks early on with those Mei walls. Order choosing to take a defense at the corner. This gives them less opportunity. They don't get those 2 solid fights usually. They only get like 1.5 really.
Yeah.
And Quads has already been hooked and taken out. The wall didn't come up in time. It was on cooldown.
It's not the first time that we've seen that one happen for Order. Can there be any trade frags coming out here? Looking particularly to Signed to find those, but Yuki will actually open things with the kill onto Mini.
Sign's got a lot of ult charge and he's heading straight for Dalso in the back line. Will he be able to get him? He's jumped on his head!
Does. He gets him, but I don't know it's going to matter really too much here for Order. That's an interesting fight.
Order might be able to get a second contest off here. Sign could
yep.
shoot his dragon from spawn and still have impact, whereas Dalsu won't have that much impact on this fight if it goes quick enough. Just coming back from spawn now as you see Shine shooting out that dragon. He wants to swap to Reaper, and he does. So that dragon won't eventually reach the card.
Yeah, that's interesting. They actually do look to contest here with Jordation fading onto the point, straight into his death. Gus getting the kill there. That was a little bit wonky from Order, and certainly hasn't worked out in the way they would have intended it to.
I think that was the lowest percentage play they could have gone from there. They really felt like they deserved 2 fights on that first point, but all they've managed to do is set them up for a shocker of a second. If Ground Zero play well here with the 6 ultimates, I don't see Order getting back into this second point. It's so difficult.
I reckon there you just commit with the Hanzo. You know, like you get that ult, that's going to force Ground Zero a little bit out of position. At least then when Jordation tries to jump in with the fade, he's not going to get instantly blown up.
Adam's going to have to come up big here with this bomb, or Yuki with this Mei ult, because there's a lot going wrong at the moment from the side of Order. The double damage amp comes through. Hook in, Gus gets onto straight away, and Dalsu picks off quads.
Yeah, what are you going to do about that one, Order? Absolutely nothing. Nothing you can do. Just look at all of the stuff sitting on top of the cart there. It was the amp matrix, the supercharger, and of course Mini as well.
Mini's quite important. Just as important as those inanimate objects.
Yeah. Too easy in the end for Ground Zero through Phase B so far.
Nanda's finding himself a little hiding spot. He wants to use his Mei ult as soon as they drop down. Is Adam aware of this? I don't believe he is. They are rotating away from Nanda's position though, so it could be difficult for him. As he sees the Matrix come out, this is the perfect time for the ult.
Oh, well, Self-Destruct is going to go out as well, so that really opens the door. Only getting the defense of Ground Zero so far, but finally on the attack comes Order. Adam eats the Dragon Strike, and Jordation is Kamehamehaing all over Nanda. And maybe a little bit more stuff than just that, but let's not get into it.
Adam gets some key frags there, as well as eating the Dragon Strike that could have sealed the deal. I didn't think they'd be able to get back in on this second point, but Adam stands up and proves me wrong. The little Maestro working his magic again.
It was a bit weird from Ground Zero. It just seemed like they were really slow to engage on that fight.
It certainly is, and they used a lot of ults now, and they're going to be running into Sign with that Death Blossom. He's been so patient today. Only that one real mistake on Hollywood.
Yeah, Yuki gets the wall up, but it only catches Gus, who's able to use the booster straight out of there. Now Supercharger down from Order behind the shield. Untar, has he gone too greedy? Has Sign gone too greedy once again? It looks to be the case. That's not good at all again for Order. That's just something they're going to need to be aware of. If they are the team that goes to Melbourne Esports Open, something that they'll have to look at.
It's 2 ults they've thrown down now. Adam with the Diva one. What's going to catch?
No one.
Nothing.
I thought that was going to get a little bit more than it did as the wall faded away, but
that's 5 ults they've committed.
So nothing at this point. Now it's time for Ground Zero to use their own supercharger. Will be for the moment counted out by the Mei wall, and actually gets finished off by Jordation, who now is working hard to keep Signed alive. Mini on the flank, pushing forward with Orisa. Order's doing a surprisingly good job of surviving for the moment, but sooner or later, the penny has to drop. Ground Zero will start to pull ahead in the fight. Gunther and Gus, 2 Gs to open things up for Ground Zero. Might as well be GG for Order on Phase B.
Just mis-executing those ults. 5 thrown in for no result at all. Sign getting very aggressive with that the damage boost, the supercharger. He thought he could get 1 or 2 kills, use that lifesteal that Reaper has to sustain himself, but they managed to get too far away.
Yeah.
He didn't have the speed boost from Unter, and it just wasn't close enough. They all just ran away from the TP, and that sealed the deal for that second point. You can't waste 5 ultimates and expect to win.
Death Blossom is sometimes a difficult ult to use.
Now 5 ultimates for Ground Zero, and this is a very good point for these ultimates too. We've seen big Diva bombs here from Adam. Gus is very capable of doing the same. Mei ult comes in and it goes off. Quats walks out of it, but Yuki's stuck in the middle of it.
Yeah, Yuki's going to get some help from the Coalescence, but that's not going to help at all. Nami just pops him in the face, a good headshot. And now Order, they've essentially traded places with Ground Zero, and they're not really where they want to be. There's no good way of disengaging this fight for Order, so they have to fight their way out. 1-for-1 there with Adam picking up Nami, but Sign goes down as well. Both the Reapers out of the picture.
They're committing so many ultimates on both sides. Adam getting frozen up. He didn't manage to get his Diva bomb off, so he's just a baby Diva running around on the cart.
Yuki trying to come back into the fight, throwing in a few right clicks from the castle walls.
He threw his Mei ult in too, and it just doesn't seem to be working out for anything at the moment. Order, they look lost.
Well, we did say that Escort has been their weakest map type. Maybe this will be another instance of that. 1:50 to hold under the gate here on Havana.
If they do manage to get the fight win, though, this is a very difficult point to attack when you have been pushed back so far, because you have to get over this bridge. You've got so long to travel. And this is a nice point for that Mei, and the Diva Bomb goes out straight away. The beat drop from Gunther.
I don't know about this one from Sign. Is going to use this Wraith form back onto the point. Once again, tries to get a Death Blossom off and just gets absolutely blown up. He's going too individual with these ultimates. Needs the backup from his team.
Adam's trying to turn it, but he doesn't get his self-destruct off in time. He couldn't build another one. And the Gus self-destruct takes him out. Sign now on this Doomfist for the stall.
He is still alive on the point as well. If Sign can find a pick here, it might be workable for Order, and he does. He gets Dalsu. Now the rest of the team's going to come on in. That's a great lamp to keep Sign alive, and he's still going. He's still kicking. Finally gets dropped by Nanda. But has he bought enough time for Order? Has he bought enough for the reinforcements and the respawns? With Quats coming in here, he's nearly going to have that supercharger available. Plops that one down on the point, and now it's time for Order to really engage in here. Look for the damage. Side once again. Doomfist punch across, not going to connect this time. But Order, they've held on for long enough, and there's respawn advantage. It's paying dividends.
Sign on the stall Doomfist. It often doesn't work out. It's actually joked about within the team that it doesn't work out. But this time it does. He managed to get a few pickoffs in a few lives, and Yuki managing to stall out for so long as well.
And all of a sudden, time's gone. 20 seconds left. Where did all the time go?
And Jordation now on the Baptiste, a hero that not very experienced in playing, so we'll see what he does with his amplification matrix here to
I've seen him playing it a few times on his stream, but you're right, not exactly the ideal choice for him. He does have amplification matrix. The aim certainly is there for Jordation, so he might be able to do some damage. All to try and keep Ground Zero at bay, but it does not do enough. Gus will have to use this self-destruct to remech probably, but Adam goes one better. He uses the self-destruct to eliminate Nami. The bongo of Vinny has disappeared. Tracer started to come back in here, but Sign catches Gunther with a punch. How's he managed that? Almost got frozen, but at the 11th hour, Sign is coming up big with this Doomfist, and the rest of the team helping him out. Adams had a great point. Defense here on Phase C, and that is going to be that. Ground Zero, they'll be a little disappointed, I think, not to finish the map off.
They'll be super disappointed not to finish that one off. They just needed to focus the targets down. Jordation actually on that stall Baptiste did a lot of work. He kept Sign alive for so long. That great lamp that you were talking about. Sign and Jordation managed to turn the tide of the battle, and now there's a win condition for Order. There's a win condition to send themselves all the way to the Melbourne Esports Open for the second time.
Well, it's either a win or we go through to control it to a piece for Order.
And you'd have to favour them on the control too.
Yeah, probably.
I think they're quite a strong control team, especially towards the back end of the season.
As long as we don't go to Ilios.
Ilios has been a bit of a nightmare for them, but their Busan has got 100% win rate.
Indeed.
But that requires Ground Zero to hold, and hold strong.
Yeah.
We saw them hold strong on Anubis, so it's not out of the realms of possibility. Nanda's on the Pharah. We've seen struggles dealing with this before from Order. Dealing with Pharahs isn't something they're known for.
Yeah, but that said, is Nanda going to have as much of an impact as Roro did? It's hard to imagine that you would expect that.
A very, very talented young man is Nanda. So I expect big things, and if they're investing this much on him and they're investing the swap over from Juboy for the semi-final, they must think big of him. They're going to need big results now. This is where your star players have to stand up, and Nanda is definitely a star of the future. But needs to be a star of now, as they've scouted the Pharah and they've swapped to the dive composition they did play on Village.
Yep.
So Order, they're prepared for this. And Sign's in position, he could get a hack here.
He knows the positions of some of his opponents. The hack does occur onto the Pharah. Here comes the dive. You could see it perfectly lined up. I love that new POV. But as soon as that hack came in, the dive from Quats and Adam right on top of Nanda, and he instantly swaps off to May. So not too keen on sticking with this Pharah. I'm not so sure how keen Nami will be with the Widowmaker either. Lots of highly mobile targets on the Order side of things that are able to chase him down. As you can see, he recalling back out of the action now, going to try and chase down Gunther, who will be the next focus of target for Order. And it really seems like this roster is back in their favorite composition. I mean, you go back in history and you look at where Blank Blue started. They were the dive team.
They certainly were, but they haven't been pushing the cart in this time. They got a bit too excited, dived a bit too far forward. Now Quats is alone fighting a Reaper, and he doesn't want to be fighting a Reaper. He goes down.
That's a really weird way that sort of fight ended. Order.
There was no cart push. Unta went up forced and fed in the fight, so there was nobody pushing the cart. So now there's actually a great opportunity for Ground Zero to recontest. Yes, Sign has the EMP, Yuki has the Pulse Bomb. But if they can sustain through those ultimates...
Well, if Dalsu gets the nano boost out early, maybe before the EMP gets across, and Gus can try to counter it with the self-destruct, there's enough to play around with for Ground Zero. Well, there's the EMP, a good pulse bomb, but it's not going to get the kill. Quats has invested the Primal Rage. You can see him diving around in the back line. Not for too long, though. He's been put down by Nami. Here comes the Death Blossom from Nami. Oh, saved by the May Wall. That's huge from Nanda. But it's just not going to be enough, I don't think, to win the fight. You've got to give credit, though. That was a really nice wall.
That was a great play from Nanda, but not enough to buy the win for Ground Zero, and it will push onto the point. We already see the Order players going to spawn to swap up to the Reaper composition, I believe it will be, as Unta is staying on Lucio. 4 minutes now to get through the second phase. It's a hard one. It's a tough nut to crack.
It's been a pretty good time made, though, so far by Order.
Now they're going to be struggling, though. They don't have the ultimates to snowball into this phase like Ground Zero did. Ground Zero did fluff it up and get stalled out here for a little bit. They eventually got through. This Supercharger coming down is going to be a big advantage for the side of Ground Zero.
Order are not too interested in dealing with that. The Coalescence putting a lot of damage through, and it will inevitably finish off the Supercharger. That's one way of getting rid of it. Now Order can proceed straight into mini space. That's exactly what Sign wants. Unta puts the sound barrier down, and I don't know that that was so necessary. 2 picks already going the way of Order.
Now we've seen that a few times from Unta today. He's been a bit aggressive with these sound barriers. It must be a plan of theirs to get Signed in going deep and staying aggressive. They don't want him using that Wraith form to try and get out. They want him staying as aggressive as long as possible.
It's the Wraith form to reload.
That's it.
How Alpha Reapers make the...
It's like using the High Noon to reload. Exactly. That was always a tricky one. The McCree would High Noon, and then you'd be hiding, and he'd already been in.
And he'd be flashbanging you in the face. You'd be like,
exactly, he'd be chasing you around the corner.
Well, here comes self-destruct from Adam. What kind of an impact can this one have? Does force the ice block from Nanda, and the sound barrier down from Gunther. 2 really early cooldowns used by Ground Zero in this fight, and Sign. Now he's got the backup with a Death Blossom, and it will certainly be some death for Ground Zero.
It looks all too easy for Order at the moment. Sign is going ham on this Reaper. He's going wild. He's had no room to work with all series. But then now he's just getting that extra little bit. The Diva Bomb forces them into the loving arms of the Reaper, and they get punished so hard. What can Ground Zero do on this long defense? The third point, we've seen how difficult it is to break. We've seen teams get spawn camped here. What can Ground Zero do?
Goes go down, and inevitably do fall as well. That looks like a fantastic blizzard from Yuki, and it certainly is. Goodness me, 4 players dropping pretty quickly. Well, 3 in a mech. Signed is still alive, and he's the danger man with that Reaper, the one that's able to pump the damage out for Order.
And he's almost built another Reaper ult too, so This is a great ult economy from the side of Order. They use a Mei ult, they get a Reaper ult. They use a Reaper ult, they get a Mei ult. That's exactly how you want to be playing.
3 minutes 20 seconds to make about 60 meters here for Order. They're well on their way to Melbourne Esports Open.
Here comes the hard part though. This is the point Ground Zero got struggle streeted at. There's a lot of ults to work with. They're going to go for this third fight on the face. If they're going early here, they can get 3.
Well, Order do have about an extra minute of time than what Ground Zero had getting to this
Signs
point.
off the map!
No!
No!
He was trying to helicopter his way back up with the Death Blossom. It doesn't work like that, Sign. This will be an easy fight win for Ground Zero, and disaster for Order as well, as Unter used his sound barrier, Signed, he's used the Death Blossom, and Signed so mad he swapped off onto Widowmaker.
He's tilt swapped to Widowmaker, but he just TP'd too close to the edge. Gus was on the money there. He TP'd, he met exactly by the rocket boosters, which knock him flying. A bit aggressive there from Sign. We've seen that a few times now.
Just reins in a little bit.
Adam with the Diva Bomb.
Well, it's coalescence here from Jordation, and you say Adam's Diva Bomb is going to be thrown on in.
Doesn't catch, but does a lot of damage to Nanda and Gunther.
Yeah, but they're healed right back on up. Now it's Quatz's time to shine as he has the spotlight on him. And ooh, what a ult. That's a very nice one. Catches a lot of Ground Zero players. Now Supercharger down on the floor. And with Nami being frozen right in front of him, this is looking pretty damn good for Order.
Certainly does. Adam and Quads doing so much damage with this Supercharger active. This wins the fight for them. They're getting closer and closer. They're one fight away from going back on that main stage.
Order have not missed out.
Jordation, what are you doing in the spawn? What has he done? He's just charged forward and he's fed.
Smash is not happy at all, and I think with good reason.
That could cost them so much. A crazy play out of Jordation, a brain fade.
Brain fade. Well, it was a fade, wasn't it?
He faded, but in the brain too. Now the setup from Order, the Coalescence comes out to push them back. Gunther getting caught, but gets very low and manages to survive.
This is absolutely nuts. Self-destruct across from Adam doesn't do a whole lot of damage. Blizzard's gone down on the defensive side, but you'll get a wall up to protect him from that. Now it's his turn. Waiting for the defense matrix to disappear. So far, so good for Ground Zero. They're buying some decent time here, but there goes Blizzard, not eaten the wall up. It's a good Blizzard as well, but can it find the damage? Gust is going to die, that's for sure. No one else, however, goes down on the side of Ground Zero. And with 49 seconds left here for Order, they need to either commit to this fight and win it, or back out and reset.
It looks like they've got to back out. The boys are getting off the map, around the corners. Hunter's actually dropping very low. He's managed to reset. Gunther gets the boot kill credit onto him. A lot of ults on the side of Order to go into this next fight, but they could have sealed the map there. I'm in shock, Jordan. That was an unbelievable misplay.
I've honestly never heard you so animated, Smash.
Well, it takes a bit, doesn't it?
It does take a bit, but here we are. 9 weeks into the season.
Yep. Better late than never.
They're a late bloomer. Maybe in more ways than one. But anyway, here we go. Order. What have they got? Supercharger and Coalescence. That could be a pretty deadly combination, to be quite frank. Jordation just not getting the damage across that he wants. The shield goes low. Quats now needs to be careful as there's the Coalescence headed back in his direction. The Mei wall is good. The Death Blossom might well be even better, but Stein, he's come up with one of his own. He'll drop to Nami. Who's winning this fight? It's so hard to tell. Adam D-Mech, but he's got a self-destruct. If this has impact, surely it would be Order, but luckily for Ground Zero, no one gets collected. And Order, they need to slow things down. They need to wait for their respawners because Ground Zero
Nami's
are coming back into it. The heals are not there for Nami, but the pile driver is for Order. Straight into the self-destructive D-Mech onto Adam as well.
The Bastion on the high ground is set up. This is so hard to deal with. There's nothing to deal with it. We're going to Game 5.
I can't believe it. Havana goes the way of Ground Zero. Order. They'll be shaking their head, pulling out their hair, Smash. It's exactly what you've been doing for the last 3 minutes.
They had the golden ticket. It was right in front of them. It was just there to take. And then Jordation, he tries to get too aggressive. He fades forward to try and hold them in the spawn room. And wow, what a mistake. Could that cost him so much?
Could it cost them a place at Melbourne Esports Open?
Oh, it would be disastrous if it does. You'd have to feel for the poor lad.
2 apiece.
What a game we have in our hands, though. Game 5. This is exactly what we wanted to see.
Well, like I said, we always get one pretty quick and clean semi-final, which was traditionally the one that City Drop Bears was playing in, and then one pretty close semi-final, which was the one that Order generally was playing in. So once again, we have that.
And last season, last MEO season, Order faltered on the map 5. It's the same map Order too. They're winning the... Oh, they can't believe they've lost the escort. How are they going to go on map 5?
I don't know what to say about this.
This is...
I mean, to be fair, it should be
excellent.
expected, right? It should be expected because Order has been one of those teams that this season have just not been able to close series out cleanly when they've had the opportunity. You think back to the Melbourne Mavericks series a couple of weeks ago, the Week 7 match that went 3-2.
Certainly did, but they managed to close that one out. They managed to close one out versus Legacy and Mindfreak. So on map 5s, they've been very solid this season. In fact, they haven't lost a map 5.
Yep.
So they're going to want to keep that 100% rate up now because it all matters so much.
That's one map. It's best of one now, essentially.
I believe it will be Order's map choice too, so I wouldn't be surprised if we go to Busan. I think that's what the map they'll pick.
It wasn't even like Gus didn't even boost. He literally sent the Diva Mech at Sign.
Oh.
That was so funny. And then the Diva Mech actually killed Sign. It wasn't Sign falling off the edge.
Yeah, it was the bomb explosion.
Bomb explosion.
Sign, he almost came up trumps there as well. He almost got the big Death Blossom to seal and send them off. Wow, how close can you get though? Every map has felt pretty competitive. Only the Anubis that went to Ground Zero was the one that wasn't that competitive.
Yeah. Well,
we're in for a good game, I reckon. This last Koth point of all the marbles for it.
Yeah, I certainly expect so. What's your who are you tipping?
Oh,
and don't walk over there and get your Order jumper because
I have to.
Just need to tell me. You don't need to.
I have to back it up with Order. I do have to back it up. I just think that there's so much veteran experience on that roster. Although with the big mistake that came out, maybe a few heated words go back and forth between a few players. Maybe they need to keep their cool, and if they keep their cool, I would back them in to win this. But if there's been some brain booming in the backyard, then could get in Ground Zero's favor pretty quickly.
How much kind of an input would the coach be having right now?
Well, the coach is in Spain, so probably not much for Order.
Okay.
But the assistant coach Project who is around, I'm sure he'll be keeping everybody calm, reminding them of what their goals are as compositions, as team, and really just talking them through it. You can see in this series alone that they've had good plans to deal with whatever Ground Zero have thrown at them, and it's generally worked. It's just been that final little hurdle that they've fallen apart at.
Yeah, it's been an interesting season for Order. We've always kind of felt like, oh, you know, this is the week where we're like, okay, we're done with Order. And then they win.
Yeah.
And then the next week they just have a shocking week and you're like, kind of back to square one. Order's in the bin, but then the following week they win again. So, I don't know, are we at that point like where last week they had the 3-0 over Atletico? We were like, great, Order's back. We'll see them at Melbourne Esports Open and they probably end up winning it. But hang on, Ground Zero is a bit of a speed bump, so... What if we do get to see Mindfreak and Ground Zero at Melbourne Esports Open? That would be
insane.
Insane.
If you told me that at the start of the season, I'll tell you you're crazy.
Yeah.
I'd lock you up.
Maybe I was crazy by picking you as a co-caster Smash. Maybe that was the crazy part.
Oh, you must be mad as a cut snake if you're doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Busan, as you expected, as we all expected, really, it's the 100% win rate for Order. One of the two maps in the entire pool that they haven't lost this season. And what better place to go for your map 5?
It's crazy to think that it's come down to this. I thought for sure at that Havana, after they caught that overtime fight and stalled them out, I thought that mental might have been broken on the side of Ground Zero, but they proved me wrong. Order found a way to lose that one. And now we're going to Busan for everything. Now the pressure's on. A lot of young players on that side of Ground Zero. It would be great if they could stand up to the pressure and get over the line here. That would be so big for them. That would certainly make the Melbourne Esports Open final very interesting, as we'd have two very young, inexperienced rosters on stage.
Yeah, and it would sort of herald a new era of Overwatch contenders in Australia, with all of the big names not making it through.
Certainly would. It would be such a strange little thing to happen, but it would be, again, it would be great. It would be refreshing. You'd see these new players coming in, out with the old, in with the new. I think you'd see a lot of roster shuffles if it happened to get Ground Zero and Mindfreak over the top there.
Yep.
What a situation we find ourselves in. It will be the Mei and the Reaper on the King of the Hill. The Lucio will remain. I don't think you'll be seeing anything else really. Maybe a Pharah on one of the other points, but at the moment I don't think they'll want to stray away from the Reaper and the Mei because it's so strong in these close-up fights.
No, that puts the wall in pretty early. I'm not sure the Order will be too disappointed with that.
Getting a lot of freeze out though. You've got to be careful. Another Hulk comes in. Yuki's already used his ice block.
Oh, This is looking dangerous for Order. Players getting low, but now Vinny gets low as well, and that is the player that's finished off. It's all well and good to get players low, but if you can't kill them, what does it matter? So now 5v6 for round 0 to work with as Coalescence is built early by Jordation. Elsu gets his up now, but it's a little too late. That's a statement to start off Busan.
Certainly is. They're building the ults fast, and Sign managed to explode through the pack there and get Mini and tear his head off with those Hellfire shotguns. Now we have Quadsart with the big ultimate advantage over Mini. They can cycle ults here very well, Order. They just need to be disciplined. Sign needs to play disciplined. He's been caught off a few times, getting a bit too aggressive. Can't afford that now. It's all or nothing.
Supercharger is going to be pretty deadly in this fight. Have that available to them, and it is put down on the ground. Signed again, looking to get in the swing of things. And this time, he's able to clean up ground 0.
He's dropping the bag too. The boys are all getting around the bag today. We saw Mind Freak getting it on too.
I wonder what his favourite kind is. Earl Grey, English breakfast.
Probably a Chinese green tea.
Oh,
actually.
no, that's disgusting.
I think that he'd enjoy that.
I'm not a fan of green tea at all.
No, I prefer the black tea actually myself. Now, how are they going to break through this choke? This point is very difficult to break through with Mei. Ground 0 working it now. Got a Mei wall to cut them off.
Self-destruct's coming in on top of the blizzard. This could be dangerous indeed. It is. Mini and Gunther caught in that. And I thought Nami might be as well, but it really does not matter. Yuki's getting involved in it as well now.
The old man.
We're not in England, guys. This is Australia. Too much tea.
Throwing it back now. The old man Yuki getting involved in the BM. But that's what you need to do when you're flying high on emotion. Just keep it going. And now, Ground 0 have all the ultimates to play with. Nanda's Blizzard is going to be paramount here. They need to get that off and have a good result with it. Coalescence from Jordation comes out. It's putting a lot of pressure onto the enemy team.
Nami's gone very high in the sky. Now that is a Blizzard down from Nanda.
It's under a lot of pressure.
That one as the wall comes back on up, and this is finally the fight where the ult economy starts to favour Ground 0. As you can see, it's working out pretty nicely for them. And in fact, they haven't actually invested too much, just the Supercharger and the Blizzard. That's really well done from Ground 0.
It is well done because now they have all the ultimates to play with in this hold, and this is very difficult. We saw Ground 0 struggle to break it. Order are going to struggle even more with no ultimates to use. I haven't done much research on how to break this point, so I don't know how they're going to go about it. They might try, yeah, exactly, just try and rotate around and try and find any entrance they can that isn't manned. They're moving together as a unit, trying to not get cut off by this Mei wall. They use one themselves. Light makes them viable to a big hold. Now the ultimates start coming out. Sign is already dropped.
Yeah, that's time, I think, for Order to just engage this one. But it doesn't seem like that's going to be too easy at all. So difficult to disengage against a Mei who's run a lot slower.
Only one ultimate committed from the side of Ground 0, up to 40%. There's 2 fights left for Order. Maybe the next one they sacrifice, but they need to get something happening quickly. They're going again fast. They might go lowers, they might go left. Gus is scouting it all, and the Mei is ready there, waiting for them.
Gus, he looked like he wanted to use the self-destruct there, but hanging onto it for a moment, maybe.
Sign's in the back.
Too long. Yes, it was. Sign is back once again. Dodges the self-destruct quite deftly with his Wraith form. The Blizzard goes down as well from Nanda, and he should get signed here, but is that enough to turn the fight around? I don't think that it will be. Hunter proving to be enough to deal with Gus. But now overtime is ticking. Ground 0 have to make their way back on the point.
They've got good ults to reinforce it. If Nami can get in here and pop a Death Blossom, but he's popped up just too early too. Oh, he didn't get into the point. He wasn't getting the Supercharger, and this might seal the deal. The Doomfist comes out from Nanda, but it's not going to get anything, and now it's just Gus on the point, and Order have sealed the first KOF round. Busan goes up 1-0 to Order. They're 1 point away from Melbourne.
One step closer.
That's something this team desperately wants, a Melbourne-based team. They want to be representing on the big stage.
Indeed. Especially now that their main rival, their main Sydney rival as well, is not going to be there. Sydney and Melbourne was the matchup in the grand final.
In Sydney last time, and the Melbourne team won it. We saw Signed last week have an absolute tear on this KOF point as well, on the Hanzo. On Sanctum, I think it's called, but what can he do this time? He needs to a repeat performance. He's going to pick the Reaper, so he's feeling the Reaper. He's had some beautiful Death Blossoms, but he also had some Howlers. It's been very hit or miss.
Wow. This is an interesting one for Ground Zero.
Ground Zero have gone for the poke comp, they've gone for the Baptiste,
Yeah.
they've gone for the Hanzo.
When they played that against the composition that Order was running, it didn't work.
No, the benefit of having this Lucio and Reaper is means you can close the gap, and they have to fight around the point eventually on the side of Ground Zero. And the close fights, the Reaper really benefits. Sign already tipping into the back. Nade forced out from Dalsu. The hook comes in.
Good ice block from Yuki, keeps himself alive. Jordation, the one to get the opening pick, and that's putting out the left clicks here. Good work from Order. Another really solid initial fight win, and this is the moment now where as Ground Zero, you're starting to hold your head in your hands and you're thinking, we've worked so hard to be here, even in this series, to get 2 maps off of Order. And yet it's all coming up for naught.
Just misreading the composition that they needed to be on. They would have seen Sign on Hanzo last week and thought that he was going to play it again here, but Order feeling the Reaper comp. They know it's better on King of the Hill.
Well, they've felt it, certainly. It's been great. Sign's at 75% already.
Jordation as well, getting close. Quats and Yuki as well. Quats charges these superchargers so fast. His aim is amazing on Narissa. It's not something you say every day, but it just is that good. Nano Boost comes out. It's not achieving much though right now.
Well, a hold straight in there from Quats has really set things up here for Order. The Coalescence through a lot of players. And the Blizzard, well, there's really only so much you can write home about here as Ground Zero. They are just being absolutely dumpstered. And Order is...
Gus is going to struggle to get off the map here too. There's a lot of players that will boop him around, suck him back. This is a long stagger.
Oh dear, this is probably the longest stagger I've actually ever seen.
He's got his mech back. He could try and call it, but as soon as he tries to call that mech, Sign's just going to put him out.
Oh, that is horrific.
That is a 20% stagger.
That's a real feels bad. And it's like not even anything you can do.
There is absolutely nothing you can do. You're at the mercy of the opposition, and there's no way that Order are going to let you live or finish you too early when they're this close from sealing the series.
I mean, that's put Ground Zero into 1-5 territory.
It certainly has.
80% already up here for Order. That's 20 seconds to play with. Adam starts it off with the self-destruct. This time, no impact from him, but does provide space for Sign, who will take advantage of it and grab the kill onto Nando. Yuki also finding none. Sign
so low.
eventually does get cleaned up as he tries to teleport away, but this is too easy for Order. It's going to be an anticlimax in the end here, Smash. Unless Ground Zero does something insane to turn this around, we are going to be seeing Order through to Melbourne Esports Open. Just a couple of players left.
Yuki's gone down. There are reinforcements. The Blizzard's coming back from the side of Ground Zero. If this goes unchecked, it could be big.
Well, there it is.
Off.
Is it going to have the impact
Hunter's
that we all
frozen.
hope that it will? Adam D-Mech now as well. Sound barrier down. It's the miracle for Ground Zero. They're starting to turn it back in their favor. Nami's here on the Tracer. And Order.
Forget Stephen Bradbury. That was the miracle on ice that Ground Zero needed.
Yep, they have crossed a victory from the jaws of defeat. That certainly was something from Ground Zero.
Certainly was. They are going to have to swap back to the composition. We saw this earlier when Order were able to take advantage and come in very quickly. They're going to do the same, but it looks like they'll be fine on the side of Ground Zero. They'll be able to set back up. Quats' supercharger is going to be really important here. Yuki with the Mayo coming through and Adam with the D-Bomb. He needs something better than that last one. That last one was a shocker. He's going to need to watch the patience here, forcing the cooldowns out before he goes for it.
Charger from Quats. Order looking to make good use of that. The damage amplification.
Bomb goes out now. What is it getting? It's getting nothing. It landed on the roof!
Oh, but there's still a Blizzard available here for Order, which could turn the tide in their favor. Yuki hanging on to it, does get it down behind the wall. Dalsu with his Coalescence trying desperately to keep his team alive, but it is a fruitful effort. There's nothing to be done here for Ground Zero. Far too much available for Order, and well, it was a nice comeback for a moment for Ground Zero, but that is going to be the end of that, I think, for them. The team in green on their last legs.
They are Mini desperately trying to stall. He's playing around the drum, pops the adaptive shield, but it's not going to be enough. Order will flip the point over. Winter will be coming back with the Mayo, but I don't think you're going to see a repeat performance. The Moira touches, the Winter ult goes down, but it's
Eaten by Adam, and that might well be the nail in the coffin. Signed with the Death Blossom, followed up by pretty much everything else that Order had available. They're literally throwing everything at Ground Zero here and there. They're still not being able to finish this off. And it's been a long-winded final round here on Busan, but that is going to mark Order as our second team through to Melbourne Esports Open. A 3-2 against Ground Zero. And what a struggle it was you have to give credit to Ground Zero for a hard-fought series, but wouldn't have felt like a season finals if it didn't involve at least one of Order or City Drop Bears. So, in a way, I'm glad that Order's made it.
Well, I'm glad, but I'm also sad for the side of Ground Zero. They have such a young, talented roster. They can hold their heads high and be proud of the season they produced because they were left in shambles after the roster shuffle. They got picked apart. The Warriors picked apart everybody, and Ground Zero, Mavs, they were left with almost nothing, but they've managed to form themselves a great roster and secure a third, fourth finish with the top 2 finish in the groups. You got to be happy with that, boys. Congratulations. Congratulations to Juboy too. Didn't play in this game, but he had a phenomenal season to help them get this far. Well played, but just short, and they'll be hungry to come back next season and improve. Order, I felt like they got out of jail there. I think that they were very, very lucky in some moments. They should have closed the series off earlier. They didn't. They left the door open for Ground Zero. Unfortunately, they just weren't able to capitalize.
That was definitely not the cleanest game we've seen from Order, so I do think there is a lot that they can go back and look at. I mean, Sign definitely had his moments on the Reaper, some excellent moments, but he also had some pretty interesting moments, to put it lightly. So that's definitely something I think that Order will want to go back and have a bit of a look at. Some of the beats from Unta, perhaps a little overzealous. Yuki had at least one poor map on the May. So no, I think across the board, there is quite a bit that you could look at there for Order. And in a way, that's really good, right? They get through the semi-final. They've got stuff to improve on going into the season finals. And hopefully in a few weeks' time, when we get to Melbourne Esports Open, they'll be back to full strength and better than ever. And we'll have a really great match between Order and Mind Freak. And I think for Mind Freak, you know, the same can be said, right? They're a new team to an environment like this, so there's going to be some nerves and that sort of issues surrounding their run into Melbourne Esports Open. But there's definitely a lot of interesting storylines that are being set up for us into that grand final.
Definitely think that if Mind Freak can come out strong with the momentum in that grand final, then it's anyone's game. You saw how strong they were today after taking the first map, riding that high on the momentum and absolutely crushing the Sydney Drop Bears, who I picked as my top seed going into this top 4. So who knows what's going to happen in that big arena with all those people watching.
Yeah, I almost don't want to give a prediction for anything because it's just been so difficult to get anything right this season. But Smash, what I do know is it's time for another Macca's play of the game. It's the semi-final between Ground Zero and Order, and the Macca's play of the game is going to Gus on the Deeper with the bomb.
This was beautiful team play. They forced them with that amplification matrix into that little back alley, and Mini and Gus combined to get 3-4 kills with that Diva Bomb. Their Anubis looks so solid. Great angle there, you see. Signed only escaping because he had the Wraith Bomb. It would have been a 5k almost.
I think you're going to have to give a bit of credit to Mini there as well.
Oh, definitely. That's a team play of the game. They're going to split that Big Mac down the middle when they celebrate like that.
Absolutely. Well, maybe you can split it 6 ways. Unfortunately, that's all that we get to see from Ground Zero this season. They won't make LAN. That's where we all really have to turn our attention to now, though, is that finals at Melbourne Esports Open. It's been an interesting run up to this point, though.